in theory, you were the outright winner of Idols.
Nothing can prepare you for what happens. Like that type of fame that comes with a TV show like that.
What was going through your mind?
I'm going to break this show.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Really?
Welcome to Coffee Charge Conversations here at Real Global Productions. Today we are joined by our biggest guest so far, Jason Hartman. He is not only a singer, he's a songwriter, and he's the 2009 co-winner of Idols South Africa. He's opened for Kelly Clarkson in 2010, he's opened for the Eagles in 2011, and he's performed at the Royal Wedding of Monaco. Jason, welcome to Coffee Charge Conversation.
How's it, man?
Jason, how was your first audition going into Idols? What was going through your mind?
Well, actually, rough. I did an 8-hour gig the night before, which turned into the next day. And there was a very big, strong, burly Afrikaans guy. I think his name was Johan or something. Who was adamant that I had to join the Idols queue, which was that morning. And it was about 3 a.m. At the time.
In Joburg.
Yeah, in
Joburg.
Joburg. Yeah. So we were doing a gig, it went till 3. And he said to me very forcefully, with a few shots of Jägermeister, that I had to join this queue. And I said no. I just didn't want to ever, I didn't see myself, I didn't want to do it. And I said, right, arm wrestle, eh? Best of 3. I never lose. I beat him in the first one, and then I beat him in the second too. So I'm a man of my word. Got home eventually around about 5:30 in the morning, dived in the pool, told my mum to get me to the Ananda Hotel. And then I stood there absolutely like fried, until about 3:30 in the afternoon, when I eventually saw some random dude, and I was nearly like dead. It's just hectic, man. It's hardcore. And I got through, and I had to sing 3 songs. It was actually crazy. I was like, can't be serious. And he's like, what do you do?
In the audition?
Yeah. So I'm like, I didn't want to sing 1. But then I did 3. And he's like, what do you do? I'm like, I'm a beekeeper. And I do gardens, and I'm a singer. So the next minute, there was a camera crew following me home as I was literally dying. I just wanted to go, like, get out of there. And they followed me back, and then it just started from there. And I walked in the next day with my golden ticket, literally, with my number on it, 9,000 and something. And they tried to, plug me in, and I didn't exist on the system. So they called the producer down and couldn't figure out what was wrong. I didn't come up. So they called me the glitch in the Matrix. And I was like, no, dude, I'm way worse. I'm like Samson. I'm going to break this show.
And were you nervous during that first audition?
I wasn't initially. I was like quite confident, and then I heard these amazing singers all around me, and there were cameras, and I wasn't allowed to play my guitar, so I was out of my comfort zone completely. I was like totally overwhelmed, totally stressed out, and it was hectic. It was like totally underestimated what was going on, and then they cut my hair terribly, and I looked strange, and then the next minute this happened, and it just didn't go well. I chose the wrong song, and it just like, and I got to a point where I was nearly actually eliminated, and like a stepbrother, Joshua, got killed in a car accident, literally 2 days before I was going to perform at the Mosaic Theatre, and I'd chosen A Little Help from My Friends by Joe Cocker, and that's that death, that accident, losing him like that, just took all the nerves away. Nothing mattered. It didn't matter anymore. It just like took it all away, put things in perspective in a way that I didn't really care anymore about the show or the outcome, because this was so monumental. So when I walked out and performed, the first time we played with the actual live band was that night. And it was so beautifully done. Everyone just clicked in, and it was like the most perfect moments. I think I actually won Idols on that performance. Honestly, it like changed from that moment.
And what stage of the competition was that?
I think it was in the top 20, top somewhere around there. It's top 14, top 20, something like that. Yeah, it was amazing. It's incredible.
So the judges initially said that you were going to struggle with getting, you were 30 at the time, that you were going to struggle getting the votes of the younger crowd. How did you go about that?
Um, they weren't wrong, but they weren't right because I got a very, really, really young crowd following me, like super young, and then super old. So I had the strangest crowd, you know. And then a friend of mine, Charles Kruger, he saw all these posters up from some of the contestants. Were still in high school, so all the schools came through and they had posters up and they had like banners. So he went on a bit of a mission, and he just every song that I sang, like I did "Kiss from a Rose" or something like that. He bought 3,000 red roses and gave everybody that walked into that theater a red rose, and then the banners and posters. But then he saw the camera angle; you couldn't see the name from behind, so he actually double printed. He did this incredible campaign of just like flooding the place with Jason Hartman posters, and you can't see it from the stage really. So it's so bright. You got in-ear monitors, and so you quite like you shut off from what's going on. But it was actually incredible. It's 4,000 people plus, and yeah, Charles, man, big shout out to you guys there. That was awesome. Yeah.
And can you describe that moment before you went out to do your final performance?
Yeah, it was an interesting one because we had to do like a tour before that actual show. So Sasha-Lee and myself flew literally in a couple days throughout the country. We went like Joburg, Durban, PE, Cape Town, Bloem, and then back. So it was a full like country tour that we had to do. and you don't have much time, and you're signing order, and it was crazy. I mean, literally, when we landed in Cape Town, just like I think there was one Jason Hartman fan because it was her domain, and I think there was one, and I heard him shout, and then I think he got killed. I swear to God, it was like it was this mass of like people going absolutely like mad for Sasha-Lee, and to the point where we actually, at the gate, at the exit, like the boom gate, the guys were on the car. They were actually like climbing on our car, and we were actually going to go through the boom and like break it if they didn't open it. It was like insane. So like moments like that, and then sharing that. We had time to rehearse the song. I think we did. I finally found someone, and then I totally, like I do, never do my homework. So I totally didn't learn my actual single, which is just
Yeah,
typical sound.
it's a crime in the final.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't even think. I didn't even like. I didn't even think. I thought about the. I finally found someone. Duet, duo. Like more for some reason because it involved her. I don't know what it was. I just didn't really do. I just totally underestimated that song. Break the Silence. So it was quite. And I didn't. I thought. I didn't want to win, to be honest with you, because I didn't really want to have that. I wanted to be the guy that should have won, because I would have got as far as I could have gone coming second, and I wouldn't have had. I would have had the choices to go where I wanted to go instead of having to take a prize or having. And also, I didn't want to be branded as an idol, if you understand. So it was something, but I didn't think that I would come second. I had a firm feeling that I would win, and then I didn't. So in actual fact, I was really quite like weirdly, like quite shocked, and then really relieved. Like it was exactly what I wanted because of those reasons. Um, and then, it was just a crazy ride after that. But the musical director Johan Lass, after the show, he just loved me. He said to me, he's such an amazing musician. Actually, he just passed away like 2 weeks ago. So a huge loss to the world. But he invited me straight away that night of the final. He's like, "You just come with me, man. What you doing? To the Val, to my studio. You're the real deal. Come, yeah." So I went and stayed with him and his wife. Where we played music and just chilled, and we actually booked a gig like randomly, and we just had a lot of fun drinking good whiskey. And then we got the call, like from Simon Fuller. There's been voting, something with the votes, and like the results may change. And I was in the Val, and they were like, "Can you get to the office now?" And I was, "No, I can't." Firstly, I'm in the Val. Secondly, we're halfway through that beautiful bottle of Johnny Walker Blue Label. There's just no ways we can get there today or tomorrow, but maybe on Thursday.
So the votes, obviously, I looked at the votes. You had 1.3 million votes, and Sasha-Lee Davids had 1.1 million votes. But then there was a decision to split the prize. Do you think that that decision was handled fairly, even though you had 54% of the votes, and in theory you were the outright winner of Idols?
Yeah, it was actually me. I had the moments because we went into this boardroom like separately, and she went in first, and I wanted to see what if face looked like. I wanted to see if I could pick up any difference in her to know what the results were, and she came out exactly like she went in. So I thought everything was the same, which I was quite relieved. And then I went in, and there was just 6 people around a massive table, and I never met them. I didn't know who they were, and they told me that I was the official Idols winner, which I didn't expect. And then because she's got a poker face, man, I didn't see any change in it whatsoever. And I did a little dance, hugged everyone, and then I just had this moment where I was like, hang on, this is cool for me, losing and then winning. But for her, winning and then losing, it's just really not cool. It's really, that's a whole different experience. And I said it, this, one thing, losing and winning, and then the other is, can we just keep it like it is? And they said, no, there's too many people know about it, and it's, so then I said, can we both win? And then they said, yeah, we were hoping that you would say that, and I said that, yeah. So I was more than happy to do that. And then they just basically just duplicated the prize, which weren't the same prizes as the following year. We didn't get the cash. We got a Cardi's voucher that expired, actually. And we got some nice things, I won't lie. But so they were, it was a whirlwind from there, because we walked out into like a barrage of media straight away. And I had a show in Howick and at the Eminent building, at DSTV buildings in Randburg. So I think it was like I needed to be heading out of town at least by like 4:30. And this went right in, started cutting in. So it was an interesting one actually to go through and then to face these, these questions, because you don't really realize what's actually the actual repercussions and what it actually meant, and the consequences of this actual whole voting debacle or whatever happened, because people, now there was actually quite a lot of like anger. It was almost like they wanted answers. They felt that my moment was stolen or taken from me, or which I didn't even think of at all until they said it. And then I felt that the moment I was actually in was way cooler, and because it was the most unique thing ever.
Yeah.
It was not, that usual final. This was like never going to be forgotten, and it was unique. And there's 2 winners, like literally, where everyone's a winner. So you literally, it was such a cool feeling for me to actually be in that situation. I really liked the spirit of everything, but it didn't actually, flow that way. It didn't go that way. People felt that I was robbed, so they were robbed of the things. And then the trust and it actually turned it into quite a nightmare. Where I thought it would work in our favor, actually. I thought it would actually give us more publicity, but in actual fact, they actually cut us and cut our publicity, because they didn't. So any idols after that, they actually cut us out so that we didn't remind the country of the problem. So it had an adverse kind of effect, which I didn't see coming. And Yeah. And it's like anything, you know, when you go on holiday to Mauritius or wherever you go and you meet people, then you're like, yeah, you know, the best time. And you're definitely going to hook up when you get back. And, you know, and you never see those people again. It's been
Yeah.
quite similar with, you know, with the Idols contestants of my year. I mean, I've seen it over the years, some of them on the road, some of them, some shows, but, you know, actually you lose touch with, you know, with people. And it's been, yeah, each person. And our year actually was, I think we had 8 out of the top 10. Had a very successful music career running it. So it was a good year. That's the name of a Thai brand as well.
Do you think that had an impact on your career trajectory and the way that you were perceived, rather being seen as now a co-winner instead of an outright winner?
Yeah, it was. I actually had a chat with Mara, the judge, on Mara Lowe, and she said to me, it was the most aggressive year, and like such. She'd never received or seen such like almost combative kind of, you know, there was this feud that kind of came about, and even before we actually got through to the final, it was already going to the point where people, it was almost one against the other, and you know, so we were kind of torn, almost like pretty brutally, and it was actually quite hectic to the point where I had to have somebody permanently, you know, watching my social media, because it was like the things that were coming out and things that were
Yeah.
leaking out, things that were being said were so vile that I had to get them removed, you know, because I couldn't quite believe it was actually what people were feeling. And yeah, and nothing can prepare you for what happens, like that type of that fame that comes with a TV show like that, because of the time it's at. So you know you're on TV, and then the next minute it's Ocean's 11 and, you know, Brad Pitt, and so you kind of, in people's minds, you get associated with the same stars. So that you walk out into, you can't just go to the mall, Kansas City or something, unless you like unless you feeling really down and you want your self-esteem lifted. You go, you know, you get photographs taken by millions of fans. It's a great day. You're feeling a bit low, but otherwise than that, you're trying to stay out of the public eye because you just get swarmed, you know. So it was quite intense, hectic experience. And then I think that whole debacle also put it on the map internationally a bit more maybe than it would have if it was just smooth sailing. So I kind of got, you know, I don't know if it was through that, and also, you know, through, which we can go into later, it's just opportunities in Monaco that I got, and, you know, just, you know, I've been overseas. I've been, you know, to quite a few places and done some quite incredible things with amazing musicians that I don't know any other person actually that's had that experience with those people under certain circumstances, with singing a song and just with Tina Turner in a club somewhere, you know,
That's
randomly.
amazing.
Yeah, just awesome, you know, just unbelievable.
And in 2010, you also performed with Kelly Clarkson. She was the American Idol winner. What was that experience like?
Yeah, she's amazing. Hey, she was incredible. So I literally I wrote and recorded on the run the first album. The whole thing was done in 6 days from scratch, because you know, we had no songs. They were giving me songs to, and I just didn't like any of them. So I took my phone out and I just literally wrote the whole album within 2 days, and we recorded it literally live within a week. And then, but I went, I tried like a brass section in the album, and I had a whole bunch of things going on. So I had to kind of, I felt the need to be able to replicate it as close as I could, but live. So I had like a 9-piece band, you know, like full blown brass sections. I mean, I had to get I luckily had, you know, a very well established band already, and so I was able to do that. So we literally, was quite tricky. She was, you know, and her voice is phenomenal, and, you know, the whole level of performing with artists like from the States especially is just incredible. I also actually toured with Wayne Brady from Whose Line Is It Anyway, and he was my first American, you know, international performer. So I had a good sort of grounding and sort of lesson with him. Luckily, so Kelly Clarkson. By the time we got to the third show, our first show, our sound with a 9-piece band with no sound check, because you never get sound checks when you're performing as the opening band. They always steal your time, and it's always a nightmare. But the first show was like in the Dome, which is also a nightmare, for sound. And Henry, my sound guy, he's just an incredible sound engineer. So he got it. By the end of the show, we were sounding okay. I don't know what we sounded like in the beginning, but I can tell you, the second show, it got better. And by the third show, it was so good that the Kelly Clarkson band were actually nervous and also totally in. They were blown away by just what we were doing. So it was quite cool to perform that. It was my first original. I've always done covers. I've never done my own stuff really, a lot, as a musician. So to perform originals, like straight off the thing, and then hit the show and get with his Kelly Clarkson, it's just ridiculous. It was a huge eye opener, and the guys pulled it off. It was incredible, man.
And so obviously you came from the Midlands, which is a small town in KZN. And then you went from that to winning Idols, getting 1.3 million votes. I mean, if I get 200 likes on a photo, I think I'm popular. Getting 1.3 million votes, I don't even know that many people. How did you deal with that fame?
Yeah, that's when I heard the numbers, I was quite shocked. It's quite something. And at that in that year, they were paying SMSs, so it wasn't like people actually invested in those votes. And it was part of my. I did have a strat eventually. Once I'd got into the competition and I was in and sort of settled towards the end, I actually had I realized something that's, I don't know if everyone else does, but the people that are voting have to pay for these SMSs. And so I made sure that whatever I sang and whatever song I chose would cover a large demographic but mostly into the older market, because they're the ones with the cell phone and the accounts. And so for a certain age group and younger, the young ones go, they love, but daddy pays he does the SMSs. So I made sure that daddy loves the song just as much as little Johnny did,
Yeah.
So, and also kind of a bit of subliminal messaging, because I nearly got kicked out singing Undiscovered. I'm not lost, I'm undiscovered. And I thought maybe it's because I did it really well. And then I really did badly. So I was like, let me just try a little help from my friends.
Yeah.
And then I put in, and so it was every song I sung, I had a message saying, help me, bro. Or like, but there's something in there, trying to, get people to come to support me in a way, or just, so don't tell anyone I said that.
And obviously, you've got the glitz and the glam. What's the biggest misconception about the music industry?
Sure, that's a good question. I went in. I've been playing professionally since 1996. So and vast amounts of hours, and we did 8 shows a week, doing 6 hours a show for months. So that's how we started. It was like boot camp for musicians, with my dad at the helm, and just playing every genre of music you can imagine under every circumstance, from a wedding to a casino at Fort, like just different audiences, to funerals. It's like, crazy, to whatever. African, Zimbabwe, all over the place. We crossed all those things. So when I got into the music industry per se, my expectations were really high, and I expected management. I expected distribution of things. I expected a clear trajectory from the record label that I was signed to. I expected things to be way better than they were, because there was really a lack of everything. In fact, there was a lack of decent management. There was no possible, any trajectory whatsoever. One minute I'm playing in some little, preschool in the afternoon, and that night I'm at the Dome with Kelly Clarkson. So it's just like there's no clear,
Wow.
path, and image-wise, and possible branding sponsors or clothing brands or anything like that. And distribution failed as well, because I sold 10,000 albums in the first month, and the second month, which was November, the second month being December, I sold 55, and that's because they only pressed 10,000 albums. So
Wow.
the shops that you ran out of stock, and then over Christmas, there was nothing in the shop. And I also chose the stupidest cover because I was looking for my album, and I was in this like forest with this like shirt on that matched the forest, but I didn't realize it. So I kind of camouflaged myself into the background of my own CD cover, and I was staring at my CD. It was right in front of me. I couldn't see it. So I was like, next time around, I'm going to put a no entry sign kind of vibe where it's like as you walk in, the first thing you see is that thing. It's like big,
Yeah.
it's something that catches your eye. So I learned a few things there, and then I literally went through about 7 people trying to that I was just that weren't up to what I believed were decent standards as management, and I landed up just going back to my family. And I landed up with my team of my own, and I got my own sponsors, and I did it my way, and that was quite a disappointment. But being being a road hardened musician was a big plus for me because that's what we did. And so you base, I believe, the best the best artists in the world are the ones that that stand the test of time, are the ones that you go and see live, and they are as good, if not better, than you
what
see
you
on the
expected.
recording. They're the real deal. So yeah, that's all I can say is that the expectations were, and it's changed since then. I mean, that was a different time completely to now. It's just a whole nother world that I didn't have a clue then
Yeah.
what the world was about, because I actually came from the Midlands in the Carcliff Valley with no one in sight for 30 kilometers and no vehicle for many years. And it would be sometimes a 3-day walk to town and back to get the bare essentials. And so being, aware of how to grow vegetables and do bees and be quite spiritual in a way in the forests, and literally living a completely crazy existence, and then playing music on the road, and then getting into the world where there's now like YouTubes and social media and then other platforms and things like that, which I still haven't actually got up to date with. And that was in 2009. So you can understand how so behind I am right now. I tried to get onto TikTok.
Yeah.
I can't even open the app properly. And then I don't understand what I'm watching. And I'm just trying to figure out the culture of what's going on. And it's just crazy. It's like there's so many ways of getting yourself out there, and there's so many ways of not being the person you're putting out there. Like I've got friends that are TikToking, and I look at them like that's not you. That's totally someone else. Because there's an app that you can put that changes your facial features and all this. I'm like, but that's, I'm so fat, I got 400,000. No, that person's got 400,000. You don't look like, you can't back that up. Like if you went out to your 400,000 fans, they would never recognize you. They'd actually throw something. They'd be like this. They want to see that.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how things have changed. So I'm quite excited to be, here with, Global Productions. It's been amazing actually to actually be signed up for the first time, because that's another thing is that I actually got cancelled, or they cancelled my contract after the first album, and doing the second album right as we finished it. They said no, there's nothing on it, and they actually cancelled my 5-album Idol's winning prize. Got cancelled actually, if I think about it, and I've never been signed since. So until now, which is the perfect year. So it's been quite an amazing thing to have, because I've actually, you need a team. You need to be represented as an artist. It's one thing I did learn the hard way, because my team literally passed away. Over the years, I lost, the head of the thing being my mom. She passed away, unfortunately, like out of nowhere, and that whole thing had a rippling effect throughout my entire, management. My whole thing, everything I was doing, was run through, that route, and that was wiped out. And then to try and do it on your own, it's not. I was wondering why is it so difficult? Because you can't be Jason Hartman representing Jason Hartman when you walk into the radio station and go, hey, here's my new single. Somebody walking in with Jason Hartman's new single, or some company, it just has, it's got a vital elements that you only realize later when no one's taking you seriously, or it's a strange thing. So it's really awesome to be represented again. And actually, it's just begun, really, like right in the beginning of, in throes of starting as we speak.
And I mean, it's now 15 years since you did Idols. How do you keep your passion for music alive despite the challenges you've had in the last few years?
I had passion until you told me how long it's been. I'm joking. 15 years. It's crazy. It's actually crazy. I think I've had a very interesting and unusual life, and very extreme things that I don't know many others have had. It's very strange what's happened to in our life, and it's been a lot of painful experiences, a lot of really tough, unforeseen, stressful, inexplicable things that really are, that's have constantly been throughout my life. So luckily, being a musician, pain and suffering and all these kind of things is what I believe the fuel that drives the musician to be passionate and real on stage, and write from a place. That's where the good stuff comes from. And I'm one of those. I'm a feeler. I can't be strong and show and I can't, this whole thing where weakness to show emotion. I just can't. It's not in my being at all. So I feel it all. Literally, if I'm brokenhearted, I will be smashed until it's not broken. Which only it took about, I don't know, 2 years ago. My heart sort of was healed, and it was by, I think, an 87-year-old man who saw me at the bar and said, "You look like you're a broken-hearted chap." I said, "I am indeed, sir." And he said, "You lucky bugger." I looked at him and he said, "I envy you so much," he said to me. And I said, "What?" That completely turned my world. And he said, "I haven't had it broken. I wish I could feel that feeling. I haven't had that pain or that feeling for 30 years now, and I'm too old to ever have it again. I tell you what, I'd give anything I could to have that pain and that broken heart." And he just turned my whole perspective right upside down, where the pain I was going through suddenly became something that this man just wanted and envied, and he was just and I saw I saw it so differently. And thank God. So that's mended things for me, because now I understand that this pain that I'm feeling is actually the love that I'm giving or feeling. It's actually not the other way around. It's actually really to be treasured. It's something to be like, oh yeah, I'm in pain, I'm crying, this is so terrible, but this is brilliant. At the same time, it's like, yes, because you loved, and the depth of your pain is the the amount of love you felt for that person. So that's I don't know if that even answered your question at all.
No, sometimes in life, I think that's what you need. You need someone unexpectedly to give you a little bit of a perspective shift. And obviously, performing in front of people is not for everyone. What advice do you have for people that, they're good singers or musicians, but they're a little bit afraid of singing in front of an audience?
It's a good question. I'm actually very comfortable performing in front of people, and that's how I've actually grown up. That's how music, it's vital to me. So actually being in studio has been very difficult for me. It's very hard for me to actually like record. It was a very difficult thing to get into this, into the music and into the performance, because it's so sterile in the studio, and you totally locked off and blocked off with no audience except the producer on the other side of the glass. So it's a completely like alien environment, and so that was really, really tough for me. And my brothers and I, just out of nowhere, he's my drummer, and did backing vocals, phenomenal, has just learned and taught himself how to play a 12-string guitar that my dad had left, and he's written like 80 songs already, and he's just writing every day and sending me these songs, and I'm such a fan of my brother's, like of my brother. I'm like a huge fan. I can't believe what he's doing. And now he's just started performing live as a singer-songwriter. And he's just done this now. So he's really like, he's a drummer. He's never played a guitar in his life. We never interfered with each other's instruments or ever done this before. So I'm watching him, and his first performance was actually at his best friend's funeral, where he actually played live for the first time in front of an audience. I saw him. I could see the shake in his arm. I could feel. I could hear it in his voice. And then he messed up. He stopped, and then he messed up again. And but he started again. And I phoned him. And I just said to him, I'm just blown away. I'm so proud of you. Like, you can't believe. And he was so ashamed of his performance that he messed up, and he was in the other side of the spectrum. And I was like, no, bro, that's your first gig, and it's at a funeral of your best mates, firstly, and you did it. You did that. You wrote that song, and you sang that. It's the most amazing thing. So he's actually in a position where he's battling to get over the nerves. Like he said to me the other day, he's like, it takes him a week to recover from the live performance because his nerves are so shot, and he's been through, I'm like, shame, man. So hopefully I'll be down there, to see him. He's still on Natal. My plan, we've got to actually perform there at the end of September. So, it would be really cool to be able to kind of back him in a way, band of brothers is only just two brothers individually and, independently of themselves as artists now. So now the family's gained another artist, actually. My dad's one, I'm front man, and now my brother's one. So it's quite cool. So it'd be nice to be able to actually back him on that stage, so that weight and my, confidence, because I'm in my comfort zone. The more people, and if I just need one at the same time, so I draw off that, and it's all I've known. So it's interesting that. So just play as much as you can. And that's another thing that's actually really impressed me with my brother, is that he's consistent. So I know he's practicing, and I know that he's playing the songs over and over again, and which I think is really good. Consistency is key, in live performing, because you get the CD or the album out, and that song hits number one. No one really understands that you have to play that song so many times that you want to kill yourself. You're like, if you hear it again, you're losing the will to live.
Yeah.
With every word that you're singing
You're
of
so
the best
tired
song.
of your voice.
Yeah, and it's a song. Oh my God. Then you start getting through that barrier where you're like starting to have to feed and find that magic, and so it becomes a meditation in a way. So and then it's so down and more relaxed, and it kind of finds, when you get to that takes a lot of playing over and monotonous, consistent playing the same thing, and with a group especially, that's when that takes time. It's hours and hours of repetition. So just play and do it as often as you can, and practice and play the same. Try and get it as as close as you can every time. And saying that, my live performances, I never play the same song the same way twice, ever. I don't have a set list. So I'm saying this, and then I've never done it the same way, ever. So I should take my own advice.
So do you almost feel like when you perform, you draw off that energy of the crowd. Is that what fuels you?
Yeah, it's various things. Like it's certain people in the crowd actually, or certain groups of people sometimes, and it can be anything from a really beautiful, you know, I'm not sure if it's a she or he, but you can't say anymore. You never know. You never know. But she looks really stunning, like really hot from where I'm sitting, playing. That might be it, or it might be a really elderly couple that are just like into that song, and so you kind of gain energy from attention from people that are actually paying attention to you, and you kind of have a communication with that group of people there, and with that hot girl over there, or that's whatever's going on. So you do totally. That's how, for me, that's how it is. And I often hear songs like in the ether, that because I never have a plan or set list of what I'm going to play, and I've often, I mean, last night I played songs I've never played. In actual fact, 80% of the gigs I play songs I've never played before, and just work them out then and there. I even make up the words. I mean, the lyrics are literally, I don't know the words to the song. I'm too lazy to learn it. So, and you can help me by singing along, you know, and if I get it right or the wrong, I mean, that's how, and people are actually just laughing with it. And so it's, yeah, you do. And it's like for me, it has to be organic. It has to flow. I battled with the original and getting rehearsals and everything perfect. Yeah, perfectly. I stopped it eventually. I was like, no, I'm losing what I love about music, and that's almost like this telepathic unknown where you are just connected with each member of the group, and you're just in this like jam session. Like the song just takes off into this different direction and goes on for 20 minutes sometimes, and then we stop this and we're like, dude, oh my God. It's just like those are the moments for me where you go somewhere that you've never been before. And that's what music really, when you got to that level, especially with other people, because playing with my brother on the drums and my dad is another thing. It's very rare to have that on stage together. So the telepathy, the actual things we've done and just blown our own minds, like how to, the timing, and on the guitar, as well as my brother, never done it before. Just like the whole synergy and the synchronicity of just, it's a mystery to me how we did that. And that's the magic. That's where you're flowing in something that is beyond what you're seeing and feeling in front of you. You're now entering into the unknown, and yet you've done something better than you've ever known. Something that you've known, a song that you've known. You've played it tighter in the abyss of something you've never done before together. You know, it's really quite something. So yeah, oops, no one should know.
And I'm a little bit scared to ask this, but what is one of the most unexpected things that's happened at one of your gigs or live performances?
There's been so many. I promise you. I think one of the most unexpected things was the actual opening for the Eagles in Monaco at the soccer stadium in front of, I don't know, 80 or 90,000 people, and the Eagles. And it was my choice. They asked me what band I'd like to open for, and I chose the Eagles, and they booked the Eagles for me to open for. So I was like, what? Firstly, and then and they stole our sound check time. So literally people were coming into the show, and we hadn't even started checking the sound. So I just said, put me everywhere. I want that and this in my monitors. And I just turned around to the band and said, just follow me. And we took our set list, and I just off the cuff, and we did it like unplanned completely because we didn't have the time. And I didn't want to be so structured, not having sound right yet. And walking off that performance, it was a good one. I was just drenched in sweat, and I came off the stage, and there was the whole band of the Eagles standing at the bottom of the stage, watching, and they were there, and I was like stunned. There's Glenn Frey and there's like Don Henley and Joe Walsh, and they were watching us, and they were like just clapping their hands, and they were like, "Yo, man, it's been a long time since we been nervous to play after an opening act." It was the first thing.
What a compliment.
I was actually just stunned.
Wow.
And then they were blown away, asking me who's that guy, and it's my dad, and like I couldn't believe it's my dad, and it's my brother, and it's like it's so. And then that was just mind blowing, absolutely. And then walking on the athletics track with security, around the seated center field to the VIP section of the other side of the stadium. Everyone started clapping and standing up, and I thought, I said, the Eagles are getting on stage, and they weren't. We got a standing ovation for us. We were like, had to go and do like a loop ring around, like Jason Hartman, chanting, in French. And then it was insane. It was that was crazy. And then I've had another experience where I finished the gig, I'm packing up the gear, and the Doors is playing through my PA system, and the song "The End," this is the end, and it gets quite hectic in that song. And I didn't really realize, but I didn't think too much of it until somebody who was very religious actually felt it was very demonic, and obviously had too much to drink or whatever the case may be, and he punched me in the face, cut my whole nose open, saying this is demonic music. And literally that was quite a shock as well, So you can have all sorts of experiences when you walk off the stage. Generally, you want to get off the stage, say it, meet, whatever, and get out of there, because that was my rule eventually, because we would just have way too much fun with the people at the event.
Yeah.
And then you lose. You can do something like jump off a 5-story building with your head wrapped in toilet roll on fire, going woo off the end into a swimming pool that you can't, you luckily landed in. And it kind of can go around. It's kind of 1 minute you're clean cut idol, and the next minute you that guy. And so it's a rule: finish the gig, keep it clean, and then do what you want. When you in your own safe space. That's But that was a cool one of the Eagles. They were nervous. They were nervous.
That's very cool. So I went to go watch one of your live performances the other day at Gilroy's last week.
Yeah.
And I noticed you had that little book with you that you keep, almost like a little notepad.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
Unfortunately, I took it out just before I came here this morning. I did a lot of writing in it actually last night. So that's a little book that I think, my best mate, Dwayne, he gave it to me. And ironically, it's actually got The Firm written on the front cover. And that was the name of our club that we owned in Pietermaritzburg, The Firm, in 1995, 96, 97, which ended tragically with the assassination of a prominent businessman in our driveway, and murdered him, which shut everything down. Everything changed from that day. So that's why we became musicians. So we were forced into a family band situation, literally because someone was murdered. So murder made us musicians. And The Firm's on the front cover of this book. And I just loved it. And so every day or whenever it's just one of these things I take out at a profound moment, or I just put the date down and write, and it's going back on it is actually the most profound thing, because I find the most prophetic writing. Like I wrote about a friend of mine. I didn't. I just wrote about death being at the end of every breath, and then I carried on and I said something about Angel Michael being there when times like, and my friend's father died on that day, and his name's Michael.
Jeez.
Yeah, so it's strange that on that day I wrote that very message with the name on the page on the day that he died. And so those kind of little things where you go back and you just like blow your own mind, especially Afrikaans, when it's after the gig and 20,000 beers have been, and I'm just unbelievable. I can't speak a word of Afrikaans unless I'm on, brandy and coke. And then it's just quite fascinating is see what what comes out. And it's just, I just think I've always done that actually, like journals, but this particular little book is quite a special one, yeah. But it's good to do because pencil, actually, this is a pencil, yeah. The pressure of a pen changes what you write, because you can't rub it out, you can't erase a
It's
mistake. So
permanent,
I
yeah.
always use a pencil because that takes the pressure off, so you don't worry about that little thing that's whatever that is. And pens run out, pencils, it's an organic thing. It's I use a knife to sharpen it. And
So, Jason, if your life was a song, what would the title be and why?
wow, jeepers, man, really. Actually, that's a very good question. I wish I had my little book. At least we're recording this, so if I do come up with it soon, I'll get it down because it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on at the moment and what's happened. So it's almost biblical. What would I say? What would I call the song? It's impossible. It's an impossible. I mean, just today alone, the impossible. What happened today, which I can't even explain exactly at all, is so perfectly impossible and perfectly calculated so far back that it landed up happening today at this moment before this. And I'm sitting there thinking it's just absolutely insane how it's too planned. It's not just random. This is so ridiculously obvious that there's something else at work. There's something else behind what's going on. And it's not, it's actually, this is such a question. Shit, what would the song be? Oh my God. Oh me. Oh my. I promise you, I've had moments where I've sat there going, if you told me any time before this moment that this is where I'd be standing, receiving the freedom of the town of Howick from the mayor, with everyone in front of me just cheering at the falls in Howick, when just a few years before we would walk in and people would leave because we were so well known and such associated with murder, and the whole thing that was like, I was just like, how the wheel had turned to redemption. I've had that. I've had miraculous experiences where I can't explain the miracle of so many. And then at the same time, I'm like, wow, where's the hammer blow going to come from next? Where is the devil exactly going to come? Where is what's going to happen next? It's a game of perfectly. I don't know whoever's playing this game.
Yeah.
Because I've literally like surrendered. I'm stepped out of the way. Like I'm like, oh, hands up, dude. You are a master. Because I'm just facing checkmate in my mind, and this master move comes out of nowhere where I land up in the situation. And I'm just like, wow, you are next level. That was, and then I've just like this move comes out. I land up in a situation where I can't believe that I'm actually on top when I could not see any way out at all. So I mean that's basically what it's been like for me. It's your often your closest people, the people that you expect, are the ones that are actually behind the biggest betrayals and the
Sure.
hardest, heartbreaking truths that you find out, and you just constantly being shocked and I'm always absolutely blown away, and I never saw it coming. I'm totally underestimate the actual the situation that just unfolded, whether it's good or whether it's bad or whatever it is. It always astounds me, as I never saw it coming, and it's so like profoundly perfect in such a deadly way. With you can see into the future from this moment, going, oh, that means, and you can actually see, and then you land up going through that.
Yeah.
But because you land up meeting this person has now put me in front of you. You know, so if anything was different, I wouldn't be sitting here. And I can't think of anywhere else I could be at this point in my music career where I feel like I'm only just about to kick off.
Wow.
And where people in my age that have been playing with me have tailing off. They're all finishing. I can't even find some bands to join me like from my era. I haven't even started. They've come to the point where they're actually, tailing off. So it's quite incredible. I wouldn't change a thing.
And
maybe that's the song name. I wouldn't change a thing.
I love that. And you and I, talking about coincidence, I met you when I think I was 7 or 8 years old, before you were on Idols. I went to a restaurant with my dad. You were performing, I think maybe 2 years before Idols. And my dad loved your music. He bought two of your dad's CDs, one of yours, and here we are today.
I actually remember. I remember clearly now. I didn't. We've spoken about this when we met now, and I saw your dad.
Yeah.
And I just had the clear memory of this moment. That was at Cyro's, I think.
Yes.
And we were doing we did our first gardening project actually in Tembisa Township. And I just started on my own, just randomly with this my security gates boom guard dude, Peter Machali, and he just came up to me and said, "I need to talk to you," and for no reason. And he just asked me what I did, and I said, "Beekeeping," and he organized this whole meeting with Kuruleni, municipality, and the next minute I'm building a Thai garden on my own in Tembisa, And as I start the gardens, which then goes to the school down the road, they want one. I get a phone call from my father, who I haven't spoken to for ages. He's meant to be in the middle of the mountains. He's now saying that he's in Marlborough Drive. I need to fetch him. And I'm like, what? He's like, "Oh, hitched," and then he's in Marlborough Drive, So I'm on my way, picked my dad up off the highway with his guitar case, drove him straight to this my bass player's studio, recorded an album in one take. He just sat down, put a mic in front of him, recorded it, which is one of the CDs your dad bought with my dad's face on it, which is rare. And I had my own Justice CD, which is Justin and Jason duo, Justice. And it was a Superman logo on the front for some reason. And that's the rarest one of our Justice CD. And then the third one was to actually fund our gardening project. So that I'd started, and my dad was the originator of the garden, the Thai gardens. And I just did the first one, literally days before. And I was about to embark on this massive undertaking at the school. And my father, who, invented this whole system, walks, he lands up in Joburg. And I wouldn't have been able to do it, what we did. We did 15 schools in Tembisa, 15,000 car tires were recycled, and 5 plants per tire in 4 months. And that's because my old man's one of those kind of dudes, So it just all worked out. And your dad bought all 3. I remember you, actually. You haven't changed a day. I swear, it's amazing. That's absolutely incredible. So there we go. Eh? That was actually all around that time. So all of those things happened randomly in different provinces at different points in our lives. Sitting now, and there's, I just think that's insane, man. There's no ways. And I shouldn't be alive. So many times I should have never made it out. So that alone, just to be born is almost impossible if you think about it. Great-grandparents had to meet, and how many random acts over. Just a miracle just to be alive, But to have those 3 CDs and your dad and you and now and here, it's impossible.
Yeah.
That might be the song.
You've got a few titles.
I'm telling you, it's actually impossible.
It's a few albums.
If you put it all together, there's no ways, man. It's just no ways.
Jason, thanks so much for today. I have no doubt that we'll have an episode 2 in the future. And I've really, really enjoyed our discussion today. It's been awesome catching up with you, and I wish you nothing but happiness and success in the future. You're such a authentic person, such a great person, and you can just see your passion. It almost reflects off of you. So thank you to you. Thank you to Real Global Productions. And today was an awesome experience.
That's the most beautiful thing anyone could ever wish to hear from anyone. And that's just wonderful, Sarah, man. That's amazing. Thank you. And thank everyone here. And I hope that, no doubt, by the way, is the name of the band. You can't use that. But I don't have any doubt that we could possibly do a lot of these kind of things. Maybe we start a whole different channel. Possibilities are endless. Awesome, Ray. Thank you for that. Thank you for this.
Thanks, Jason.
Sure.